I'm so happy to talk to you.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, mirror.
How are you?
I'm great today. My mirror's clean, so I have a great reflection.
Well, good. I'm so excited to talk to you. So, whenever someone comes on, the first thing I like to ask them is, do you remember when we met?
So I'm going to say there's two different parts to that because I think sometimes people are seen but they're never met. And I'll say that I saw you, but to really have met you was a couple weeks ago at our committee meeting, or maybe it was last week. You know, the weeks all run together. But I think sometimes we see somebody and we don't know who they are, or we don't hear their voice, or we don't know their name. And so seeing is a lot different than actually getting to meet somebody. And when I first met you, I will say meet you, um, you acknowledged that I had some anxiety and frustration and I wasn't being heard. And you wanted to make sure that the conversation that we were having, that I was able to get out the feelings that I was having because I was not being heard. And so that to me was a huge indicator of the person that you were because you saw that in me without really even knowing me, and you gave me an opportunity to be able to speak.
Thank you. You know what? I will tell you when I first saw you, I just knew of you. I knew you owned a gym. Like that had been said so much. And I was like, oh, okay, this is Heather. But I don't think we ever truly got a chance, other than like the niceties, to truly sit down and see one another. And I will say the first time I saw you was in a committee meeting and you were advocating for yourself. You were saying, hey, I need to be heard and you're not letting me speak. And you saying that, it just set the tone to me of who you truly were, because it doesn't matter like where I am, I need to make sure that my voice is heard and I feel that you're listening to me and I know that I'm being heard. So when I saw that, I was like, oh wow, okay, yes ma'am. Like I just I enjoyed that. And then actually, I'll be fully transparent, it wasn't until yesterday that I was just blown away because we had the opportunity to sit with one another unexpected,
Right?
and I truly got to know you, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And I think it speaks to, you never know who you're sitting with, you never know who you're in the room with unless you truly have a conversation with them. Like, I had no idea what was inside of you just looking at your show. Like I had no idea, like the light, like the greatness, like everything that you've done. And so it was truly my pleasure getting to see you and know you and just saying hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so then my second question is, so everyone else can understand and know, who are you?
There's so much to that.
Yeah.
And I know that there's different dimensional answers to that. I will say that for foremost, I am someone that walks the path of God.
Yeah.
I think to truly be able to say that, you endure pain to grow. You endure greatness to give to others. You are given forgiveness so that your faith continues. And I think that that is who I am at the tip of my iceberg, is somebody that walks with God. Because without my faith, I don't know where I'd be today. Um, Probably like anybody else that grew up in early 80s, but I grew up with amazing parents, and thankfully they're still here. I'm someone that was taught family values and morals and ethics, and treat your neighbor like yourself, and um, leave the place better than how you found it. And that's like, as a child, we're taught like when we go camping, you clean up, and if it was dirty when you got there, you clean up and make it better. And that is also parallel to what life is. And I've been taught to make things better for somebody else. They might not be great for you, but try to make them better for somebody else. Or if you walk into a room and you can make somebody feel better or make the situation better, do what you can to make that situation better. So I live a life of purpose, and my biggest thing is I'm a purpose-driven life. And I want to do my best to influence others, to show them their potential, to empower them with education or with encouragement, so that they know how bright their light can shine. And that's who I am. That's what I believe in. And throughout the years of different jobs or life turmoil or my loss of my children, the success of a business, also the downfalls of having a business, I think without the faith and my trust in God at the tip of my iceberg, all of those things would not be where they are today, and I wouldn't be who I am today. So I'm not really sure if I can answer that. Who am I? Because there's so many different dimensions, but God is absolutely in my heart and where I'm at.
I think that was an amazing answer, because sometimes people will respond and say things like, you know, I'm an owner, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm the title, as opposed to who you are. So you're ability, no, you're, wow.
I think that, our time here is limited, and it goes by fast. And I don't feel like they were going to be judged on how much money we make or what car we drive, or like I got really dressed up for this today, because this is who I am. Like, I get up at 3:30. I'm at work. I'm empowering people to work out. I then go home, run my kids around. I'm at every sporting event they go to. Like, sometimes this is what you get, but you get me. And you just get the real me. So I just want people to know that you're probably, I'm not speaking for God here, but you're probably not going to get judged on the materialistic things that you have. It's going to be, how did you carry yourself? What did you do for others? How did you mentor ministry to others? What did you do in your life to make life better for somebody else? Not necessarily how much you made, maybe how much you gave to somebody to help them out. So that's just kind of how I feel about that. It's not a materialistic life of, I'm not going to be judged on those things. He's going to look at me and say, I gave you these opportunities to do better, and let's look and see what you did. And I'm proud of you for making those choices.
You know, as I get older, I've had to learn certain things. So even going back to asking like who you are, I can answer that question. I would have given you my title. Like I would have said my role. Like, I'm a project manager. Like, I'm this. That's my identity. And to learn as I've just been here that, well, wait, my identity can't be in things. My identity can't be in people. My identity can't be, I'm a wife. My identity is my works almost. What do I do?
What's your purpose?
Like your purpose. And for me, and you said purpose-driven life. When I graduated from college, my mentor at the time gave me a book. It was called The Purpose-Driven Life, and you like write in it, and there were all of these excerpts. And I remember being so focused on finding my purpose. And I graduated from college 10 years ago. And I am still on said journey to truly say, like, I am in my purpose. But I've learned to believe that as doors open, as opportunities arise, as you meet people and you connect with them, it's like a little, hey, you're on the right track. You may not have the definitive answer of this is your purpose, but you're definitely walking in it. You're walking on that road. You are. So
I think you need to reflect upon how many times do you think you're walking in your purpose and life became so challenging that the doors got slammed in your face, or relationships became so difficult as a sign that you weren't on the right path. And I've made those mistakes of not wanting to listen because changing the path that I thought I was supposed to be on would be too hard, or I didn't want to have to do that because it took more work and it was scary and I was fearful and I didn't know what to do. And I really truly have the feeling that when you're on your purpose, it might veer, it might slow down, there might be a slow lane, a fast lane, it might be a scenic route. But if you're still on that path and there's not as much resistance, then you're following the path that you should be taking. And even at 47, I didn't start off owning a gym. I was a social work, criminal justice double major in college. I did victim services for 16 years. So I've been on every crime scene possible and worked with every victim possible. And I taught myself how to be in different situations, but I listened to where I needed to be. And here I am getting to be in an element that I love sports, I love working out, but I also get to help all dynamics and biopsychosocials of people in a gym setting. And, relating back to what you said is, you know, understanding who you are without the materialistic things. If I were to put you in nature and you lived, who are you? And what is your relationship with yourself and your higher power, whatever that is? And we need to be able to identify and define ourselves in those ways before we define ourselves as, this is my job, this is who I'm married to, I've got kids, I'm a mom. Yes, those are the tasks or things that you do here, but who are you when it comes to what's your soul definition on what your purpose of your soul is to do here, and are we following that path? We can get so busy that we're not listening, and we can get so preoccupied that we're not hearing, and we can get so I would say conditioned in society not to want to follow our faith or a voice or meeting somebody and they're reminding you who you are and where you should be, that I think that we need to slow down just a little bit and spend some time with ourselves and getting to know ourselves again and looking back in the mirror. Like, who is that person that I'm looking at? And do I really know who's in that shell?
I love that you said shell, because that is, I use that word all the time. Like, this is really just my shell.
Absolutely.
This is it. And it is something to me when I am seen, because it's almost a feeling inside, because I know you're not looking at this exterior shell of me, you're looking in me, right, and seeing me. And I have to tell you this story. So I went on a girls trip a few weeks ago, and we were driving from Birmingham, Alabama to Andrews, North Carolina, and I was sitting in the front seat and I was driving with a friend, and I see that she has her phone with the map on it, like on her phone, but you can hook the phone up to the car and have Google CarPlay, and you just see the music on the screen. And I'm like, why isn't the navigation on the screen? And she said, I know where I'm going, and I just have to listen to the instructions, and I'm going to get where we're supposed to be. Heather, I had a moment in the car. I was like, what? My brain was just, the synapses just, whoa. Because I realized, and I saw myself in such a light, I am so dependent on my navigation. Even in this small little town, I need to have my GPS on. I want it to tell me where I'm going. I want to know ahead of time what's in front of me. And it is something to say, I know my destination. I trust that this voice is going to tell me where I'm supposed to go. And if there's a detour, it's going to let me know that there's a detour and I need to go around. But other than that, I'm just going to stay on the course. The GPS tells me I'm going to go straight for 33 miles. I trust that I'm going to go straight for 33 miles. And then it also puts you in a position where you have to listen. You have to be aware and present in the moment and not get lost in your head, that you can hear the direction when you're told, exit left, turn here, do this. It'll give you a warning, and then you have to get in the lane and do what you're supposed to do. And I'm like, how can I apply that to my life? Where does this fit in?
What are you deluding yourself with that you're not hearing?
You know?
I love the example of hearing, because I think one on a level relates to what are you being told, and are you quiet enough to hear what's being told to you? The other thing I'm going to ask you is, when it comes to not having the navigation to tell you, are you using your sixth sense? Are you using your intuition and your feeling without having to listen to the map, and using your observation and taking that information in? Like, if you didn't have the map and you're looking ahead to see the traffic, or if you've been down a certain route and you know a shortcut, I think that brings it to a different whole level of, are you using what you innately have been given to hear and take into consideration what you're being told? Not just listening to the map, but are you taking it another level of having a connection? For me, it's God, but for other people, whatever that power is, do you have such a strong connection that you can actually hear and then impulsively make a change in your life on what you should be doing?
That is so good. I will say, for me, in that moment, seeing myself, I realized in my everyday, how do I carry myself? And one of the things were, even in when I'm normally driving, I have doubt. Even though I have the directions right there,
Of
I
course.
still may have a little doubt of, wait, do I turn here? Do I not turn? Because if I'm in a situation or an area where I don't know where I am, that is, I'm not the best driver for this, because I'm not gonna just know, do I turn left? Do I turn right? Like, just exploring. I struggle with that. And I see that in me, and that is something that I have diligently been working on, because I know this is something that you would have to overcome. Like, I am, I wouldn't say I'm a thrill seeker, but I do things to let myself know that I can. Like, I've gone skydiving because
Yeah, no, thank you.
you can jump out of a plane and you landed. What does that tell you? You jumped. You chose to get in a plane.
You chose. I didn't choose.
You chose to get in a plane, and someone was harnessed. I was 10. Someone was behind me, and I had to jump though. He couldn't jump. I was the person who had to leave. I've done paragliding where I hiked up a mountain with COVID. Didn't know at the time. It was the worst climb of my life, going up this mountain, only to get there and to have to run off of a mountain and then fly. I'm soaring. I'm soaring.
And what a great parallel of your one year of risk for adventure, but your faith in that it's going to work out.
Exactly. So if I can do it in that moment, and that's the point of it for me, if you can do it in these moments where you choose, where you pay for this activity, can you just apply this in real life? Can you not have doubt? You followed from the sky and landed softly on your bottom. So if you can do that, who's to say you can't do anything? And to me and with me, it has been just an unlearning of things. Like, I was taught doubt. I was taught doubt. That was something that was instilled in me, whether I like it or not. Like, that is just the truth. And there are moments where I have to turn my brain off or quiet my doubt, or literally say, no, you're going to be okay. You're not alone in this. You just have to trust the process and keep going, and learning that part, learning that everything is not going to be perfect. Everything isn't going to look the way that you think it's supposed to look. Or how about you might make the right turn and you weren't supposed to, and you'll be rerouted and go the direction that you're supposed to go. How about that? Like, accidents happen. There are mistakes. There are slip-ups. You can be better next time. Next time I know not to turn right. So it's just learning those things. And I have to ask you, at what point would you say you understood? Because for me, there was an awakening. There was a snap. There was a shift in my soul, if you will, that I knew, okay, oh, this is some surface stuff. This life is much deeper than what it appears to be. So I'm curious, when was that moment for you?
It's such a hard, like, it's not a hard time, but it was. So I shared with you that my son passed away at birth in 2005, and then got pregnant with my daughter shortly after that, and then she was diagnosed with a rare blood disorder. And it's really hard to be on a bad path, and then you feel like life makes it hard for you to stay on that path. And being in a situation with someone that doesn't evolve you to the next level of the person that you should be, or allows your soul to be at the next level, or what your future potential could be. We kind of touched on this a little bit, but I felt like that if I stayed in the marriage, that I wouldn't be who I needed and was intended to be. And that's a real controversial topic for some, and I totally respect where some come with that. Losing 2 children in the dynamic of my marriage at the time was difficult. And I knew in my heart that there was a much better, I would say better, it is better, but I would say a bigger calling for me to complete in my life that I would not have been able to complete if I didn't make a change. And I hope that makes sense to some, and if it doesn't, that's okay. But in my heart, I knew that after my daughter had passed, that there was a whole lot more that I had been privy to with her about heaven and purpose and the bigger things in life, and that life can happen and death can happen so fast that I had to make a change for me and for my future children, so that they could potentially be the best they could be, and that I could live a godly driven, faithful life. So that's probably when I knew for sure God was like, I really need you to listen to me. And I know that other couples go through argumentative times and anger, and you just don't get along, and that's nothing we did worked. Nothing. There was no good communication. There was no affection. It was hate and bitter. And the moment that I decided to file for divorce, I felt like the chains had been taken off, and then I could breathe again. Like that heavy backpack that somebody weighted down with 100 pounds that I'd been carrying, and all of that was all taken off. And a few days later is when I met my husband. So for me, that was the moment of God telling me, like, jobs wouldn't work out, things wouldn't work out, friendships wouldn't work out, everything in that circle that evolved in that time, nothing worked out in that time. Nothing worked. Absolutely nothing. And then the moment that I said, okay, I'm going to listen to you, and I'm really going to trust you in this. Is going to be hard, because I was after Haley died, I stayed home. Like when she got really, really sick, I left my job, and I was a stay-at-home mom for 8 years, and that's totally new to me. I started working when I was 15. So to not have income, or felt like, yes, you have purpose when you're a mom. I totally get it. But like when you're used to being in the world and doing things for others, it changes. Like you get to go out in public, and people need you, and people think you're smart, and people, appreciate you. And then you go home and you're a mom, and all you feel like is you're running around with kids, and they're tired and they need you, and you're exhausted, and it's just you talking to kids all day long. So having to acknowledge that was the time that I needed to change, that was a huge moment for me. But I had to figure out, how was I going to do that? And God put me in a position to get back to what I enjoyed, which was working out. And I got certified, and before I knew it, my neighbors wanted me to train them, and before I knew it, I went from 2 people to 15 to 30. Before I knew it, our neighboring town wanted me to move my gym. Before I knew it, I ran out of space, and I moved again, so now we're at 600 clients. And so I took a leap of faith, and I trusted. And when I trusted, I had enough income for me to support my kids, and I could make the decision that it was time for me to be on my own. And then that's when everything fruitful has been put on my plate, from my relationship with my husband to him pushing me to be better and stronger, my kids being in an environment that's loving and godly, and we're in church, and we're in sports, and we are a secular family. We're together all the time. We eat dinner together. So that moment of listening, that was super, super hard, that I didn't think I could do it, because I listened. It's been 10 years of spiritual, physical, emotional, relationship growth in the direction that it was like when I was a kid. And for me, that's a huge, those are huge shoes to fill that my parents created. But that was the determining factor and point for me.
Wow. So I have to ask this question, especially at the state that you were in, what was the moment that you said, I'm done? Like, how did you get to the point of, I'm going to file, this is it? And for you to say, like, chains were broken, was there a voice? Like, did you hear something that said,
all the
today, you do it?
But I've always heard. Sometimes I put the earmuffs on because I didn't want to hear it. I think that we're all guilty of doing that. But it was the, I'm done. I'm tired of living in my daughter's bedroom. I'm tired of arguing over the stupidest thing. I'm tired of not being able to relate to you. And that was years after my daughter had passed and my son, and tried counseling and tried connecting and tried church together, and it just, the trying became so hard. And it wasn't just like, hey, I don't want to be with you anymore, I'm just going to give up. It was years of trying, and then the children started changing their behaviors, which became apparent to me, and I didn't feel like that's the path I wanted to go on. And we're much better people apart. Like, we're both great people, we're just not great together. And the kids are great. And I think it's just people are put in your path for certain reasons, and I'm very thankful for the kid's dad for that. I'm very thankful that I have amazing children, and I'm very thankful that God gave me my husband. He's just my parents made me write a list of everything I wanted in someone, which was 2 pages long, and it was as simple as, or not as simple as, it even had like make pancakes on Saturdays for the kids, or bring kids to school, or pick them up, like this outrageous list. But I prayed over it, and wouldn't you know it, like everything is marked off on the list. And I think everybody should do that. Like if you're looking for a partner, please make a list, and don't compromise. Like don't compromise. So it was just one night of like, that's it. Like I'm gonna go file. And my dad went with me to the courthouse, and I knew it. Like the moment that I was told, when you go turn these papers in, you're going to meet the love of your life. Like soon. And it was soon. It was like a Tuesday file, Saturday.
No, because now you have to tell the story. So, how did you meet your husband? Like, and what was the setting?
So I've known my husband actually since first grade. We went to school together. We didn't really hang out together. Never really liked each other. But we were in a small school. I would say small as Round Rock. So anyway, graduated at the same time, and then 20 years go by. He happens to be at the same place I'm at after the rodeo one night with a bunch of friends from the gym, and we see each other, and like it's been 20 years since we've seen each other, and I was kind of like, man, I know you from somewhere, and he's like, yeah, we went to school together, and so then we just let kind of life take over and talk and figure things out, and never been married, never had kids, and now he came into my kid's life when my son just was turning 3. My son's 12 now. My daughter is now almost 16. So for somebody that's never been married, never had kids, walk into a situation, I'm, getting divorced. I've got 2 kids. I'm trying to figure life out on my own. Like he listened too, and that's something else where there's probably not a lot of men that would walk into that situation and be willing to take over in the responsibility of 3 people. And I'm really thankful that, I want to ask him that question, like, what was the determining factor where you were like, oh, I'm going to take on this girl with, 2 kids? But we also had that kid connection of growing up together, and we came from the same kind of like, different households, but same roots. Like we experienced the same things together. And so, sometimes I'm going to say making a change in your life might be really, really hard. And it might be really, really scary. But if you're told to take a path, or if things are put in line for you and that path seems like it's okay, somebody's going to guide you, there's going to be a guardrail, there's going to be a rope to hold on to, just grab onto it really tight and just do one step at a time, and you're going to figure it out. Because if you can do that,
you filed the papers on Tuesday. You were with
Saturday.
On Saturday. If that's not now, I would say the other part in this is, were you healing while you were still in your marriage? Because to be able to walk out and close a door, and then be able to walk into another door, it suggests that you've done some work.
A lot of work, a lot of counseling by myself, grief counseling for my kids, marriage grief too, because I think that we all walk into a marriage, or really anything that's like a marriage, or any relationship with a person or a job or a dream that we had for ourselves. I think we can walk into any of those situations and have this preconceived idea, and we have to grieve the idea. Like I had to grieve the idea, what would my son be like, because he would be 19. My daughter would be graduating this year. She would be 18 next month. So I think that we have to learn to grieve the idea of something.
Yeah.
So yes, I put the work in before just going, okay, this isn't going to work. Like, I went to my pastors, I went to licensed therapists, I talked to my parents, talked to other people, where I felt like I put in as much work as I could for myself and for what I thought would work, and it didn't work. Like, it for two people to have experienced, I think, that much trauma over the course of those years, and because we grew up differently, how I process trauma or troubles or life experiences make me, I think they instill with me more strength and more understanding and more power and more aha moments or relatable things to someone else, rather than feeling like I was victimized and I can't breathe. It really is making me stronger and makes me breathe better. So when you have people that don't process life trauma the same, and I'm like, it's okay, like God's got me, there's a bigger picture. I cannot wait for him to show me this, because if I can experience this much trauma, there's going to be this much grace. And on the other spectrum is you have somebody's like, this happened to me. What did I do to deserve this? I'm not a bad person. Why does bad things always happen to me? Where I think it's just become the perception of stuff, of when something bad or good happens to you, how do you process that? And what is your emotional outcome of that? And we had two totally different ways of processing life. And that became hard.
It's just so interesting because you don't seem you are. You're so whole, like in you. You're so solid in you. And I think sometimes when we think we are whole, we think we have it all together, and then we find ourselves in situations, you open your eyes and you're like, how is this my life? Like, how am I here in this moment? And I would think being in a situation where you're partnered with someone who isn't aligned with you, that question would arise of like, but how am I here? And then to have the strength and to do the work and to be healed, to then meet your husband, your true husband, 4 days later. I just think that's commendable. And I think sometimes we don't know that can be waiting on the other side when you're in the midst of something. Because I would say sometimes as people who are whole, you sometimes think I can carry it. I can endure. I can hold this. And then if I have faith too, he's going to help me endure this. And little do you know, it's slowly bringing you down. You can't even see it sometimes. And it's just slowly but surely like bringing you down. And then to be free of it and to be like, goodness, I see me again. I remember me. I remember this. And to be a better you at that. Because I wonder, what would this Heather say to that Heather? What would you tell her now in this moment, all these years later, everything you've amassed, everything that you've accomplished, your faith, your husband, your children, all of it, the lives that you impact, because that's the biggest one to me. I've seen you work.
See, that's a hard thing though, because I've always been faithful. I grew up with both sides of my grandparents that were knew things or felt things and were very open about that. I will say when I was young and my granny died, she opened my eyes to what the death experience was like with her family in her room, and they were surrounding her, and she shared every vision with me. And heaven really just is a thought away, where I'm not sure I would tell the Heather then anything different, because I experienced physical trauma when I was 15 and again in college. So you have physical trauma, you experience emotional trauma, and then you go through loss. I don't think that I would need to tell myself anything different that I didn't know then. And that is because of my parents raising me to have faith, and that you can endure and process and you can make it through anything. And I'm an athlete. So it doesn't matter. Like pain is temporary. I've had children, those people that have had kids, it's like a contraction. The men really can't relate, but contractions build, and it's like life. Okay. So you're in a situation that you're not really sure of. It might build like a contraction, and it's going to build and it's going to build and it's going to build, but you're going to know every time that's going to go, because it's going to peak and then it's going to come back down, and it's going to peak and it's going to come back down. And then you're in the midst of the hardest part where you think you're going to die, and then you're blessed, and then it goes away. Well, then you have all the years of having to grow, growth and growing up, and there's different types of trauma. But the point is that the pain doesn't last forever. It doesn't last forever. And you're going to be exposed to different types of pain, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever, relationships,
car accidents, loss of jobs. We're all going to experience those pains. We all have a backpack of life. We all carry it with us. It all makes us who we are. Your job is it going to define you? Or are you going to learn from those things and be like, man, I survived. I can do anything. You know why? When I have faith, when I have strength, and I know that tomorrow's going to be better because I'm going to either change my mindset or I might still be living in this pain, but it's eventually going to get better. And at 47, I feel like I've learned that sometimes when tragedy is at its biggest, I'm like, all right, what do you have in store for me? Because apparently what we're going through right now is super, 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 super big. And I'll give you an example. So I own a gym. We changed software systems. In the process of changing software systems, we also changed payment processors. So what happens when you change payment processors? All of my payments are delayed 6 to 8 weeks. Okay. As a small business, that is super hard for me to survive. Like, I can't be 2 months behind on collecting money or I'll have to close my doors. And thank goodness for having faith and having a great landlord and having people that understand or staff. And then what happens? We get on our feet and then somebody compromises our bank. So my account, my daughter's account, my work account, my personal, my savings, everything, somebody tries to withdraw $20,000 over. So I'm like, really? Like, we just got ahead and now you're giving to this to me again. And I have to go like, okay, fine. Like, you have something really big for me. I don't know why we keep going through this, but it is what it is. And I'm going to let the people fix it that can. And then these great opportunities of exploring different financial things came up. All right. So I tell people, if you become so stressed in a stressful situation that you cannot see opportunities and you cannot hear, we're going to go back to your whole map thing. If you get so caught up on, this is a pen, it's pink. Oh my God, it's pink. I'm going to take the cap off. It's pink, it's pink, it's pink, it's pink, it's pink. I can't see everything else that's going on around me. And I definitely can't become creative. I can't look at different opportunities. I can't find different ways of passive income. I can't see that, oh, well, there's a black pen right there. Like, if this one runs out, there's another pen, but it's not pink, but it's black. I think this goes into my big picture too of life of like, yes, we endure all those things. Take all those things so that you can start looking at different avenues and opportunities, or you can help different types of people. But don't get so fixated on tragedy or hard times or relationship problems or you lost your job, because more than likely if there's something better for you, but you need to be, it's so easy to say, you need to be in a situation where you can be optimistic and be open enough to hear the things that are being told to you, rather than being so stuck on, I lost my job, I'm just going to lay in bed all day long. Okay, that's not giving. Yes, you can grieve it, you can get over it, but there comes a point in time where you're like, I've got to put my big old panties on, and I'm going to have to go see, what can I do to make this work? Like, what am I good at? What can I barter? What jobs can I do? What was I taught that I can do? It may not be this job, but what can I do for me to make me feel better, give myself pride a little boost? But what are the possibilities? And more than likely, you're going to be given an opportunity to do something else or have something else.
You know, it's just getting to that point. I have to tell you. So one of my hobbies that I enjoy is kayaking. I love to go and be by myself and be still in the water, because I hear so much and I see so much. Because when you're kayaking, you have one responsibility. You have to stay still, no matter what happens. Because the first time I kayaked, I learned, when you freak out, you will end up in the trees where the spider webs are, okay? Your boat will just start moving if you're not still. You can force your boat to move, and it's such a thing to be aware of. So I went kayaking. It had been a minute, and I went to a new place to kayak. So typically I go to where there's water, but you can stand in the water, because I can't swim. But that's okay. We're going to work on it. Okay. So I go to this new place, and it's a lake where I'm at Lake Travis. And I'm like, oh, it looks so pretty in the pictures. And it's a self-kiosk. So I had to get the kayak myself. Like, I had to do all of the work myself, where I'm used to someone literally placing me in the boat and pushing me in. I said, while I'm in the midst of it, okay, because it was trying. I'm like, okay, Jesus, what am I to learn in this moment? I have to pick up my kayak,
put it in the water, and someone, because I was trying to figure out how am I going to get myself in this water, and someone just said, "Ma'am, can I push you, please?" I was like, "Sure." I'm by myself. So someone stopped what they were doing and saw me and gave me that push. And I got in the water, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be a good day. Now I'm in the kayak, and it's different than the typical plastic kayak. It's an inflatable one. So I'm like, okay. So I'm in the water, and I'm like, well, this isn't the most comfortable, but I paid my money, Heather. So I'm going to do it. And I get comfortable, and I get further and further out in the water, and there's not that many people. And I know the water is deep, but I'm like, I'm okay. I have on my vest. What I didn't take into consideration being in the lake, there are boats. There are boats. And I got further out. So where I saw boats like sitting, but they hadn't moved. Oh, Heather, I was far. I was very far. And I saw the boat coming, and I just made peace. Like, this is it. I'm just about to go. I was so clear. I was like, well, thank you to Jesus. Like, I said my prayers. Like, my family knew I was gone. Like, that's it. She's gone. So when the waves started, oh, they were so big. Like, my kayak, it went up in the air. And there's one thing that I know about being in a kayak. You have to remain calm. So I'm talking to myself, and I'm saying, you cannot fight this wave. If you fight this wave, you know what's going to happen. You're going to end up in the water. You're going to have to ride this wave. And I'm talking to me, and I start singing this gospel song about riding through the storm. And I'm in the kayak, and I'm not fighting it, and I'm letting my body be moved with the big waves. And then it starts to settle. And I'm okay. And then another boat comes. Same thing. But this time, I'm not freaking out. I understand there's a wave that's going to come. I just can't find it. So I lay back, and I have a paddle. I have a tool in case I need to readjust a little bit. And I ride the wave, and it's over.
Don't know that just moved by itself during this.
But yes, that happened. And it was in that moment that I got the biggest understanding. If I fight it, it's going to be worse.
Yeah.
If I fight it, it's going to be worse. Because I walked away. I put my feet on solid ground again in the midst of what was to me life and death.
Yeah.
And I'm still standing. So if I learned to ride the wave and ride the storm and go through it in a kayak, can I apply this in my life? In moments where it feels turbulent, where it feels really shaky, when I don't know if I'm going to be okay, can I just trust that I'll be okay and not fight whatever's happening, because I know who's in control. I know who's guiding me. It wasn't the boat. It wasn't the waves, because I was kept in that moment, because I could have been in the water. So
what a great story.
Life. Yeah. And it is good. And seeing moments like that, because sometimes people can have an issue, an incident, something can happen, and they don't take anything away from it. But I see and I understand everything is to show me something. I ask, what am I to learn from this moment?
Yeah.
Whether it be my interactions with people, good or bad. What am I to see? Why is this person in my life? What are they to show me? And sometimes, what are they to show me about me? Because that kayaking incident was to show me, you need to learn how to ride the storms. You need to stop fighting the waves. When it comes to people, what are they to show me in a moment where my ego comes up when they say something to me? That's not about them anymore. What is this in me? What am I to say? So it's just stuff like that. And I think life is so amazing if you can be present in the moment, because being present in the moment, you get so many lessons. You're taught so many things that you can apply elsewhere. You just pay attention. If you're just here.
But you're right. Like, living in the moment teaches you to not worry about yesterday or tomorrow or what you're going to do after your experience in riding the waves. Who are you right then and there? What do you need to do? How does it feel?
Yeah.
How are you reacting? And it says a lot about you and who you are fundamentally and foundationally. What did you take away from that experience, rather than it being something negative and you never want to do it again, where it was so traumatic you never want to go get on the water again, where you took it as a life lesson that God was trying to teach you, like, hey, I'm just trying to give you this example. Like, maybe I've tried to tell you before, but you didn't understand it. So I'm going to give you this visual of what life can be like if you don't pay attention to me and if you don't trust me. I mean, like, he can do anything he wants to, but what a great opportunity. I'm sorry that you went through that, but But you can share that testimony
Absolutely.
with so many other people now. It was very scary for you. But now look, you took that as something that was scary and horrific, and it's going to be imprinted in you of like, hey, let me tell you the story. Let me tell you that I've been where you're at and what that looks like. Because I'm going to give you a visual of what you're feeling right now is I'm going to give you a story. And I think that's a relatable thing where now you have this wheelhouse of stories to tell and share with people where you're like, I got one for you. Okay. So listen to this. Let me, where you can say, I got this and this and this, where maybe you're at a point in time in your life right now where he's going to put you in experiences so you can help other people.
Yeah, okay, Heather. Thank you so much for those words of wisdom. Yes, I understand. It's happening. It's already happening. And for me, when it happens, I'm just like, because even this platform, this moment, to sit down and invite you in my home to say, hey, let's sit down and have a conversation. Let's mirror. Let's talk. The things that you shared and the things that I am able to share, pain is purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know when you're in the midst of your storm, when you're in the midst of the pain, that it's going to be used and it's going to be able to help someone else. And I'm learning now in everything, because this is it's like I am exposed being in front of this microphone. I am being open and honest and vulnerable and truly looking in the mirror. That's hard, but it puts you in a position to understand, okay, so you're called to a higher purpose. And your higher purpose now, you're going to have to speak. You're going to have to talk about yourself, the good and the bad, the moments where you didn't have it, the moments when you didn't listen, the moments when you didn't see and what you came away with. And then also you can share about the moments where, but I have it now. And let me tell you something so you don't have to go through what I went through. Let me tell you this story so you don't have to get in a boat and ride a wave and almost drown. You don't have to drown. You can just trust the process. Okay, I'll do it. But really, can I just hide and cower? No. I have to, no.
No. And to spirit off that, sometimes even though you might tell someone that story to guard them or protect them from going through an experience, they still have to go through that experience so that they can learn and understand. And sometimes we have to be okay with that we can try. I know this is really where you were going with that, but I really feel compelled to say this is sometimes we can caution someone and we can share with them, but they really do have to experience something so they understand, because, it relates back to being like a kid. Somebody tells you that stove is hot and you're like, what's hot? And you touch it, you get burned. Well, then now I understand what hot is. I didn't understand what hot meant until I went through it. And so sometimes, even though part of our purpose is to help other people and share these amazing stories about riding out life waves, and sometimes there are certain people that just have to live in the experience. And I'm sure some of your people that follow your podcasts are going, okay, that's me. Like somebody told me, somebody warned me, I listened, but I didn't listen and I did it anyway. And then here's where I'm at. So what would you say to someone that maybe didn't listen to the advice, that now is listening to your story and finding themselves in a situation of like, I wish I could have, would have, should have?
Yeah, that's a good one. I love this, mirror. Come on, bring it back to me. I love that. I would say two things. One, I have no heat or judgment because I've done the same thing. I would say also that this is a soul journey. Everyone has their own path. And I would also caution them to not be so stuck in the moment of, I had the answer and I didn't listen before. Someone told me I didn't listen, and now I'm stuck in this or I have regret. You saw. So then next time it happens, it's up to you. The best thing about this life is you get to choose. You don't have to listen to anyone. You can do whatever you want to do. And then you have to deal with the consequences and the repercussions. So I would just encourage them to know that, hey, if you got to walk through it, you have to walk through it. You have signs all along the way. You get caution signs when you're driving. You get yield signs. You get slow down signs. You get be aware of deer signs. You may not see a deer ever, but that sign is right there for that one moment that a deer is out. This is just the way the game works. If some of us, and I'll say this, some of us are masochists. Some of us can have the answer, but I just want to see. Right. It might be fun. And for me, I've had to learn how to channel that. Like, how can I be a masochist and still sustain in this life? Okay, I'm going to work out. That's what I can do.
And you came this morning.
I did. Oh. I did. I can do that. I can be in pain and I can control this and I can choose this. And how about this pain is for my good? This pain is purposeful. So it's also understanding, why don't I listen? Asking yourself that question. Why is it that there are moments where I can have the answer and I'm just choosing not to? Is it because I like the feeling? Do I like the feeling of being lost or confused? Because sometimes we have to look and search deep down within ourselves to see, well, wait a minute, am I choosing this, and why? What is the root of this?
Right.
Because there's more so what's the root of why you're doing it. It's not just the action. I want to know the why. What's inside of you telling you this? So I'm holy. It's so
Very good advice.
it's very like that.
And very true.
Very true. I think this life is a me, and you're not going to have all the answers. It's great. This is one thing that I will say, though. Life will give you people. You'll get messages along the way. And if you just look and pay attention, and you just look and see, oh, you're here for me? Oh, in this moment, I'm to know you. Even you and I having this conversation today. It was because life presented a moment for us to know one another in such a way. It was I would say it was divine, because that wasn't the plan. That wasn't what was scheduled. So life happens and moments happen and you get to interact with people, and how amazing if you choose to see it. Because there's some people who will say, I don't like talking to people. I keep my hand down. I'm to myself. For those who I always think, oh my goodness. Because,
What's your advice for your listeners when they find themselves not being able to hear, see, or feel? How can they reconnect themselves with that part of their soul?
Heather, I'm going to ask you that, because first of all,
No, you ask this. You have a lot that you probably maybe you shared that, but these are questions that I'm listening and I feel compelled to ask. What would you tell somebody that doesn't know how to connect? How do you begin a connection with more than just what you see externally?
I would say for me, because my awakening, I asked you about your awakening. My awakening has always been I've always been told, you've been here before, or you have an old soul. I've always gotten that feedback, but I didn't understand truly what it meant until life presented itself in certain ways. When I was in college, there was a party I was supposed to go to. I was getting ready, and all day, literally all day, I made plans with my LSs. We were going to go to the liquor store and get liquor, and I was going to drive everyone to the liquor store. Well, we went to the liquor store, but when I got out, I was like, I'm not going to drink. And they were all like, what do you mean? We're supposed to? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to drink. Something inside of me was saying, you can't do this. Something was stopping me from doing it. And then I ended up going out that evening when I was supposed to be getting ready with them. So I was delayed to get to the party. I was going to show up by myself. As I'm getting out of the shower to put my clothes on to head to the party, my roommate busts in the door and she's screaming. She's saying, they shot him, roommate. They shot him. They shot him. And there was a shooting at the party. And where the shooting happened, it was in the kitchen. And that's where I would have hung out. That's where I would have been, because they were playing dice. And I would have just wanted to see, in the corner. I know me. And it was in that moment that I said, do I have to? What was that feeling? And I would say, if you can't hear anything, if you don't see anything, you can feel something before anything else. So if you have this doesn't feel comfortable, or this doesn't feel right, don't fight that, because that's more than likely something, they call it discernment in church, what your spirit is telling you something. I don't necessarily use those words, but it's like your soul will know, or your body will be warning you, but you have to be open to listen to that. Or sometimes, for me, I'll want to go do something and I can't. I wanted to go, but something in me won't let me. And I didn't hear anything. It's just my body just physically won't let me do whatever that plan was. So I'll say, if you feel something, if something in you won't let you go, if you're going out with your friends and for some reason everything is just delaying you, there's an inconvenience, there's traffic is slowing you down, ask, is there a reason that this is happening? Look around and see, wait, there was an accident right over there. Maybe if I would have left sooner, I would have been that person in the accident. So just look at your surroundings, I would recommend first. And then also look at you. That's what I recommend anyone. You look at the mirror, you look in the mirror, and you talk to the mirror. That I think will be the opening of you being able to hear more. Like for me, I have mirrors all around my house. Like in the kitchen, if I'm cleaning up, I'm talking, like you'll hear a full conversation. I'm talking to me and I'm praying and I'm asking and I'm saying, okay, well, I believe that there's a higher self. I believe that there's a part of me inside of me that has more sense than the person who's sitting here right there. Okay. Whoa, my higher.
So it's not you're gonna clean those dishes. You're doing a great job. Way to clean up.
Yes.
I'm so proud of that sweeping.
Yes. No, there's a higher. But I would say that too, just learning to sit with you and know you first. I think that has, for me, been the shift in my life. Like the first season, I talked about getting all the layers off of my mirror to even see me, to even be able to look at me and see, to be able to see past my shell, because it's a really bad thing when someone else can see you before you can. If you don't have you, you can be caught up in a lot. So I would just also recommend that, like, look at you, talk to you. Can you look in the mirror? When's the last time you looked in the mirror and just said hi? And listen to see if someone says something back. Just listen. Hi.
I challenge people to try that.
I challenge people to try that. When I say hi mirror, when I say your mirror, you're helping me see myself. When I hear you, I don't hear with through a lens of judgment, or through a lens of any type of, oh, how about she do that? Oh my goodness, that's her life. If anything, I'm listening to identify and say, oh my goodness, oh wow, that resonates in me. I do that too. I see that in myself. Oh my goodness, you have so much light in you. I can just see that. Oh, I'm light too. Hi. Let's talk. What do you have? Because the other thing that I also have in me is, when I sit down and I talk to someone, what is it? Wisdom is the principal thing. And in that, your understanding. If I'm sitting next to wisdom, I'm going to try and get something. I'm leaving. What is it? I'm leaving here with something.
Yeah.
Like, I want to leave here with something.
Party favor.
As a party, what do you have? Like, just let me ask you one question, because surely you're doing something in your life that I just want to know, like, what is it that you have? And that's my goal. I want people to look at me and see me and question, what is that? Like, what does she have? Like, what is that? It's light. It's light. It's not, I'm not special. It's really just light. It's me doing work. It's the soul work of it all coming out. Like, if you see me, rarely will you see me with makeup on. Like, you're not going to see me with makeup. What? But I shine really bright. Like, there are photos where I'm like, oh my goodness, that was just me. No makeup. Like, I was exuding that. And it's also like when you surround yourself with good as well,
Absolutely.
you can't help but shine. So yeah, I just want to let you know how appreciative I am for this moment, because this has been great. I love you turning the mirror back to me. That has been.
Sometimes you need to remind to look at what you have done. Not just what you see in yourself, but you said, we talked about earlier and just now again, is people see the potential in you and see you sometimes more than what you see yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that also goes into, I see what your potential is and I see how you've changed. And that's another important thing of being someone that wants to do good unto others and bring light to others, is we also need to remind each other how different your mirror looks because of the work that you put into yourself. And, coming from my background, like, work for me is not work. I don't define that. Again, I live in purpose. So I don't mind getting up at 3:30. I don't mind working late. It's not work for me because there's so much great things that happen in that. But somebody that, when you talk about your mirror and looking in your mirror and looking at you as a person, it's really important that you find happiness within yourself first and identify with what your soul is before you can make other people happy or make your children happy or your husband happy. That if there's not a level of self-love and self-appreciation and self-respect, then it's really hard to give those things to other people. So if you're struggling with something that's not making you happy, again, look in your mirror and figure out, am I projecting my unhappiness on other people, or my sadness or my anger or my frustration because of how I feel about myself? So be real careful about how you angle your mirror on other people and what that reflection of negative light might do. So being in what I do with people of life coaching, transformation, weight training, nutrition, all that kind of stuff, is I often pose that question to my clients on when they're acting a certain way. I'm like, I need you to take a look at yourself, because what you're showing me is that you're not unhappy with your husband, you're not unhappy with your kids, you're really unhappy with yourself, and you're really unhappy with yourself on a different level. So we need to start peeling off those layers to figure out, what can we do to make you happy and have some self-love and be encouraged every day, so that then you can go out and shine bright in your light and shine bright in your mirror and do those things. So you're giving your listeners an opportunity to peel away the layers, but also realize there's so much more than what someone can see. But there's also an opportunity for us all every single day to make our mirror brighter, to clean it, to preserve it, to decorate the frame, to pick it up and carry it someplace else. Like, we're not limited. We have a lot of opportunity.
Absolutely. And I will tell you about that mirror, you're always going to be cleaning it. It's never going to stay clean. There's always some self-work that's going to come up that you're going to have to do. One lesson that I've learned, I can say even in my marriage, because we've had ups and downs and all of these things. And I was speaking to some wise counsel, and they said, okay, but what did you do? What did you do in this? Okay, this person, okay, he was bad. He did all of these things, but how did you contribute? So how about this? When you start telling a story about what's going on in your life, how about you only tell what you did? And let's see how we got to this outcome through your actions. And that's just another mirror of, oh, I did this part. That hurts. Oh, that is so... Again, that mirror being put back onto you, and then you having to see you. Sometimes we can see everybody else but ourselves, and we don't even know it. I thought I knew what I was doing. No, this is who you're truly behaving like. And if that's not you, and if you're mortified when you see you, that's a good thing. You're supposed to be. It's okay if you're like, oh my gosh, when you see yourself. That just means you identify that there's work to do, and you identify that you have to clean off your mirror. I would rather have one conversation where I can say I wasn't in the best light, and then I've seen myself and I've had a change, as opposed to having 20 conversations and I'm still the exact same way, because I was once like that. That was once my story. I had the same conversation over again. It's caught in the same loop, because I wasn't different. Everything else was changing, but I was the same. And realizing again that you have the choice in it, and all of these things. You get to choose to look in the mirror. You can not. You can close your eyes. Some people will close their eyes and not want to open them to see themselves.
Time.
And that's the thing. You matter. You should be seen. I see you. Do you see you? That's it. This is good.
It was great.
Thank you, Heather.
You're so welcome.
We're coming and talk to the mirror. Okay, well, bye, mirror.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening, mirror. Want to talk more? Find Hi Mirror at Hi Mirror Talks on Instagram and Facebook. And don't forget to hit that follow button.